And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. And I have a video that I was supposed to do a couple of days ago, but this package was delayed a little bit, and then I had a situation with one of my cats. One of them got outside, which, by the way, we got back in, so now everything's back to quote-unquote normal. But I wanted to do this unboxing. I haven't opened it since I got it. I wanted to make sure I did the unboxing with all of you. It is a Silver Age key. It is actually a book. I'm not sure if I even own any anymore, because I think I sold them all, not realizing that I sold the last one. I might have one, but I'm not sure. But at least I have one now. And that's one of the reasons why I tell people to get multiple comics, especially if you have to, somewhere down the line, either have to sell them for whatever reason, whether you just need to make money or you want to make money, or, you know, bills have to get paid, you still own one. So I'm very happy to have this back in my collection. Like I said, I'm not sure. I think I might have one left, but I'm not sure. But it's another deal that I made, and I always try and do this. It's not for bragging purposes, because trust me, you know, even though this is a key issue, it's a lower grade, so it's not like I have some 9.8 version of a comic. And these days, if it's a CGC book, I'm not sure if I would want it anyway. But I want to teach people that you can change your idea of, oh, I can't get something, or it's too expensive, and try and make deals happen. Because I show it all the time, that you can make deals that even weren't supposed to be there as an option, and you'd be amazed at how many people will actually work with you. Now, it doesn't work with everybody, but, you know, you could ask 500 people out, and if the 501st said yes, and that's somebody you spend the rest of your life with, then who cares about the others that said no? Focus on the positive, not the numbers, because if you succeed, that's all that matters in the end. So I already got 3 people in. One person of the 6 now have hit the like button, so thank you for that. Not a bad ratio. But if you see on the bottom of the screen that's scrolling by, oh, we got I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, so Ika Romatsu. So forgive me if I mispronounce things. Even Ika Rumatsu. So I was wondering what that was until I saw it. I was close, actually, before I even saw that. So welcome. But if you see on the bottom of the screen scrolling by, I'm looking to acquire a couple of different key comics that I've never owned in my lifetime, that as of now I financially don't have the money to purchase. But I do have plenty of comics from key issues that I have, where I have multiple copies, where I would be willing to trade any or all of the ones that I made in a video about 3 months ago, showing all key books like Daredevil #1, Hulk 181, and a bunch of others, to try and acquire any of those books. So if you have an extra Amazing Fantasy 15 and you want to help me show the world that you can acquire Dream Comics without having to spend money, give me a contact at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. If you have a book that's not in that list that you think I might be interested as well, I'll be willing to listen, but I would love to make deals happen and show my viewers that you don't always necessarily have to have money to be able to get the things that you want. And Kim says, love Power Girl art. Glad somebody saw who that was. That was the best one I could get the AI art to do, because it kept, for a while, just kept doing random women. And, you know, that's AI for you. It's not where we want it to be yet, but I'm not going to complain. And if you want to make a comment about my AI art, which is what I always do with my thumbnails these days, I would love to hear your opinion. So good job, Kim, on knowing what character that was. All right, so let's put on the video camera. We got the box right here. They were nice enough to put multiple stickers of the French word for gilly, which means do not crack. And as usual, I will tell you the significance of the book, the price I paid, and the deal I was able to make happen, because this was another newly listed comic that did not have a an offer. It was only a buy it now. But I made contact with the person, and I'll get into the full details afterwards. So, box arrived safely. They put a whole bunch of bubble wrap with some nice little stickers. And they actually use the blue painter's tape. And you can tell, I believe this person has a dog. Because if you're one of those people that opens packages, you know as soon as you open the package if somebody is, one, a smoker, or two, owns a dog. There's an aroma that comes with it. But as long as it's on the bubble wrap and not the actual comic. But yeah, that's definitely, they might have multiple dogs. If you're a dog person, that's great. I'm a cat person. I don't hate dogs or anything like that. I definitely would not harm one at all. But, as they say, to each their own. So they did put it in a Gemini inside, wrapped in bubble wrap, and then they secured it with painter's tape. So this person did a very good job. Connie is here. Welcome to see you. If you want to join the live chat, please do. You don't have to be a subscriber, because I do at the end, I always do a surprise subscriber shout out, which ironically you don't have to be a subscriber to get. You just have to be watching the video and commenting in the live section. But if you want to hit subscribe, that's awesome. Love to have you as a part of my show. And I'm about to post the link right now before I show the book. On January 27th, I'm actually getting interviewed and I just put the link in the live chat. I'll pin it to the comment section of the video when it uploads. But it is a channel called the Comic Book G-Man. So hopefully you'll subscribe to them and see that they've already put some good work into the information in the description about my channel and things like that, and videos to check out. But I'm going to be doing a live show. It's not going to be pre-screened or anything when I get there. I don't know what topics are going to be. I don't want it that way because I want it to be just going with the flow. I don't like when people get interviewed and they already have a script and know what's going to be asked. I would prefer to just go in blindly and see where it goes, because that's the difference between a person that can prepare something in advance and a person that could go on the fly. So I did put the link to the particular video that will be up. Like I said, it's around 2 p.m. Eastern Time on January 27th. So hopefully you'll subscribe to the person. And if you do, leave a little comment saying that you came from We Love Comics. I'm sure it will help their channel. And I'm looking forward to it. It's the first person that's actually cared enough to ask me to do an interview in a long time. Because, no matter how much truth I spill and no matter how many things I get right, I don't get a lot of credit in this quote-unquote community. But it is what it is, and that's all we can do. So let's get with the comic. So this person definitely loves taping. So they did a really good job. They put a bunch of, stickers. So that's cool. Fantastic Four stickers, Thanos, and a psychedelic skull for anybody that wants to be tripping out. Make sure you're not driving when you do that. More painter's tape. So I love painter's tape because look how easy you can remove it. So if you're going to mail a comic, this is the way to do it. This person did above and beyond with the packaging. And that is something everybody in the comic community appreciates. So they actually put a whole bunch of boards on both sides. More painter's tape. It's nice that he put the X to know where to pull the tape at. So this is being taped before a live audience. So this person did a great job. It'd be pretty ironic if the comic was destroyed inside the all this stuff. So they put several pieces of the thicker Mylar. So excellent job. They put it in a Mylar, and this looks really good. Now it does have a subscription crease, but I don't care. Say it with me. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Low grade is better than no grade. And actually, oh no, this is a different book than what I thought. So I have several copies of this. I was thinking about the one I opened the other last week, Fantastic 452. I thought that was this one, but no, this is another book. This is a book I have probably 10, 15 copies of. But when you can get deals, you pounce on them. Because like I said, multiple copies means you could use some of them for trade bait. Or if you have to sell 1 or 2 or 10, you can still own them. So this looks really good. Of course, I'll have to check the whole thing. But here is the book, and definitely one I highly recommend people getting if you don't own it. And that is Fantastic Four, number 49, which is the first full appearance of Galactus, second appearance of Silver Surfer, first time on the cover together. And, you know, Fantastic Four is the more expensive of the two and the more desirable as far as being the first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus, even though it's a cameo. But this is the by far better cover. So it does have a subscription crease. Now, this person was selling this book at a buy it now only for $400, which isn't bad. But you guys know me, I'm going to make an attempt. The worst that somebody could do is either ignore a message or say no. So I contacted the person and said, you know, would you be willing to take an offer of $300 for this book? If you do, I could pay for it right now. Person said, you know, no, I'm not really looking to go that low. I just listed it and we'll see what happens. And again, like the last time with the other books where I made deals happen, I didn't just ignore the message and just delete it and leave it alone from there. I didn't, you know, reply with a snarky remark. I basically said, you know, I can understand that. And they even said that they might get it graded. And I said, well, keep in mind, a book with a subscription crease, and it does break color all the way down, the highest it's going to get is a 5.0, and that is if everything else is perfect. So, and I said, you know, if you change your mind, please consider my offer. You can contact me at any time, but in the meantime, I wish you well, and I hope you have a great day. I left it at that, and later on that, probably at like maybe 2 hours later, the person said, you know what? I will accept your offer. They changed the auction to include a best offer, which I sent the $300, and they accepted it. So it just shows that you can really make deals happen by, one, being aggressive. In other words, not being afraid to take chances on something. Communicate with kindness, even if they don't respond in the way that you want them to, and never give up hope, because the person said no and that was the end of the conversation. Ended up, that wasn't the case, and I've shown that in the last 2 or 3 videos that I've made with unboxings, that you can make things happen, and even if somebody flat out says no, don't just not respond. Be nice about it and say, well, if you change your mind, or, you know, somebody doesn't honor their bid, consider mine and contact me anytime. Have a great day. 3 times in the past week, that's exactly what these people did. And 2 of the 3 said flat out no. But I own the book. Now, of course, there's shipping and handling and taxes. So it came out to $331.65. So it would have been about $480 if I just did the buy it now with the shipping and handling and taxes. So it shows how much with shipping and handling and how much eBay charges with the taxes, how much it goes. But I won it. They agreed to $300. And this book, I don't think it's going to be a 5.0. Of course, I'll have to check the book. But it's probably between a 3.5 and a 4.5. Now, the one thing about Mylars is it makes the cover look better than it is. And, of course, you cannot grade a book just by looking at the cover. I see comic book stores that make videos where they'll see a book that was maybe supposed to be a 9.8, and they see it as a 9.6, and they do the typical, how can this not be a 9.8? Because there are several things called pages in between the cover. There could be something wrong with the staple. There could be a fingerprint. There could be a little piece missing out of page 31. You don't know by looking at the cover. So obviously I'm going to have to take this out and look at it. Now, with it being a black cover, I will use some gloves. So shout out to Mr. White Gloves, if you're watching. It's probably been a while. He used to be on my live show. I think he might be a guest on that show also. So I think for $331.65, between a 3.5 and a 4.5, who knows? I doubt it would hit a 5, because the rest of it would have to be perfect. But the good thing is, even though there is a complete subscription increase, it's very thin color breaking. But it is noticeable. I don't know if it goes completely as far as color breaking. It's like probably 75 to 80% color break. So I would say a little bit lower than a 5. But I would love to know what you think about that, because, you know, I want to show people, and this is, like I said, the third or fourth video in the past 2 weeks that I made deals happen that did not exist. Because, like I said, this person did not have a best offer. So if you see a newly listed book, don't be afraid to message a person. Because, like I said, the worst they can do is say no or ignore you. And I've actually had people say no, and instead of just giving up right there and saying, well, I tried, I respond to it saying things like, yeah, I understand you might need some time and you just listed it. I can completely understand that. If you end up changing your mind, or somebody doesn't honor a bid and you want somebody that will pay right away, don't hesitate to contact me. Good luck with your sale and have a wonderful day. And you'd be amazed at how many people are probably shocked by somebody that had somebody say no to them actually still respond kindly and respectfully. It probably almost shocks people. And I've had that happen several times over the years, where a person said no to an offer, and then I responded with something very nice and supportive, and they ended up changing their mind, said, you know what, I'd rather deal with you. So you'd be amazed at how much kindness and genuine kindness, how far along you can benefit from doing the right thing and not giving up so easily. So I would highly recommend not being a person, if you're willing to contact somebody and make the effort and they happen to say no, don't just give up right there. But don't be a jerk about it, and don't be like, oh, come on, man, do me a favor. Just be very respectful. You'd be amazed at the amount of people that will actually work with you, because maybe they've had so many people make promises about more money and they don't honor the bid, or they cause nothing but headaches, or lie about ever receiving the book. When they see somebody like me that has 100% rating and positive review after positive review, they'd probably be like, you know what, for maybe minus an extra whatever amount, I'd rather deal with this person and know I'm going to get paid and know there's not going to be any problems. So hopefully this helps to educate people about things that many people on YouTube do not talk about. You know, you can make money doing anything, but it's how you do it. There's a difference between a person that could steal something and a person that could work for something in how you feel about yourself. Anybody can go out and steal something. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to do something that is criminal by taking something that somebody else worked for and taking it to be their own. And that's why I think it's disgusting what happened with the one, if not many people, including the people working potentially at CGC, to not notice these things for years now with the CGC scam. I don't understand why people think the only way they can make money is by being dishonest or doing things the wrong way. Have some pride in yourself. Have some integrity. Have some honor. I want to do this stuff. Like I said, I don't do this to brag. You know, I don't have Amazing Fantasy 15 9.0. I don't even have a coverless version. So I'm not trying to say, aha, look at the books I get. I'm trying to show people that books that you think may be out of your price range, that did not have a price that you could afford, you can acquire them if you know their value, know how to talk to people respectfully, not give up, and not be afraid to make an effort. You'd be amazed at how many times that will work in your favor. I don't know the people I bought these from. They're not friends. They're not people I've dealt with before. They were complete strangers that I never met before on eBay, and happened to probably do something that most people won't, and that's be kind, even when they told me no. And every now and then, if I make an offer, there are people who will flat out just say yes. You never know the situation. You know, don't assume that everybody knows comics like we do. You know, like I say all the time, there could be a person that just bought a brand new house, was cleaning out the attic, and happened to find this book. So it cost them $0, and they made $300 on something that they didn't have before. Now, to me, $300, I'm sure to you, $300 for this book is a very good deal. Well, $331.60 with taxes and shipping. But to them, they basically got free money. And they didn't have to steal it to do it. So hopefully this helps people understand. And that's why I will continue to make these deals. I will continue. And this is coming from a person who's been unemployed since October of last year. To the point now, I don't even think I need a job anymore. Because I could make my living getting these books, getting them at very good prices. And every now and then, when I need money or pay a bill, I can sell 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 and have all my bills paid for months. Without having to be dishonest to people, without having to bleed the purchaser dry by trying to squeeze every amount of penny I could get. You can ask people like Daniel, I'll just say Daniel C. He's somebody I'm subscribed to. He's subscribed to me. He's one of my moderators that has bought from me several times. And if you've watched my live auctions, you'll see that I always try my best to sell my comics already lower, starting lower than what was the lowest sale on eBay. And that doesn't even include the shipping and handling costs that they charge and the taxes they charge. And like I said, like Wolverine #1, the limited series, a 9/6 of that book goes for roughly around $350. I was selling it on my auction, which nobody bought it, by the way, which I'm fine with because I can sell it for more later on. But I was starting the bid at $179, which is almost half of what the lowest price sold for, not including sales tax, which you don't get on my auction. Now, I paid $22 for that book at the time. So I will make profit. I don't have to be a person that makes that much more profit, because if I could sell it at a decent price and make a little profit, and you could get it without having to spend 10 times the amount, you'll be happy and I'll be happy. And that's what a lot of businesses and a lot of people these days seem to forget. If you're always the one that's happy and the other people that you do business with are mediocre at best, you're not giving them the initiative to come back and continue business with you. But if I do business where I can be happy and they are on the same level or even higher with their purchase or their deal, they'll keep coming back. They'll refer people to you. They will do recommendations. They will trust you when they may not trust other people. And that's why I've said I've had people send me cash overseas. I've had people send me money orders, knowing that they will get their comics and get them quickly and safely every time, because I take a lot of pride in that. So when I make videos like this, it's not to say, haha, look what I got. It's to say, look what you can also get if you follow the steps that I do. Do things the right way, with the right attitude, without beating yourself up and without giving up. You'd be amazed at how quickly your life can turn around, and the things that you want will almost fall into your lap. Because like I've said before, I have never gone on eBay, where 99.9% of my comic purchases happen. I have never typed in Fantastic Four #49 or X-Men #1 or Amazing Fantasy 15. I type in the word comic. I put in the price range that I could basically afford. I put a buy it now, and I hit search. And I'll refresh until I find something, or I've done it so many times that, you know, you can only do it so many times before you have to get away from the screen. So I don't find these comics. They find me. Like this book that I just reacquired, the video I made the other day, Brave and the Bold 28. I didn't search for that book, but it was there. The person was selling it for a higher price without a best offer. I contacted them and got it for about $350 less than what they originally were going to sell it for. You can make deals happen. And this is what I'm trying to teach people. In a world of a lot of unethical people that are only concerned about how much they can line their pockets with cash, with fiat currency, you don't want to hook your horse to that kind of wagon. Yes, you will make some money, but eventually karma's going to bite you. I guarantee you, the person or persons who got caught with the CGC scam probably thought for years how awesome they were and how much money they were making, and laughing about how much they scam people who actually put their trust in them buying things. They could potentially go to federal prison. You're talking tens of thousands of dollars that were which were stolen from people. You think they're going to have a happy ending at this point? Eventually, criminals get so cocky that they forget to be careful and cautious and get caught. So I'm not saying become a more cautious criminal. I'm saying don't even join that route, because you can still earn a living. I'm acquiring books even though I've been unemployed since October. I don't have a trust fund. I don't have millions of dollars in the bank. But what I can do is have auctions every now and then. I can only sell 3 or 4 books and still make $3,000 or $4,000. You can change your life unless you truly believe that you can't. And then you'll make that your truth. And I don't recommend people do that unless you really like where you are. And unfortunately, if you look at the internet, many people are not happy where they are. Not many people would look at me and say, oh, you've been unemployed. I don't want to be like you. Well, you know what? I'm happy. My wife is happy because I'm not coming home from work all stressed out and aggravated and take it out on her, or just not say anything because I'm in such a bad mood. I can still earn money. As a matter of fact, eventually, when prices start going even further down on houses, because the housing market crash is yet to come, I'll sell my entire collection and be able to hopefully buy a house cash. So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes knowledge, but it also takes doing the right thing. If you are a person that sells books, like I'm seeing right now, and this to me is disgusting, and I'm going to talk about the CGC scam situation right now. I want you to put this either in the live section, if you're here watching live, or in the comments section, if you're watching this later. How many of you in the past week or so have gone on eBay looking for comics and saw a CGC high-graded book and was afraid to pull the trigger? Like if you saw a 9.8 New Mutants 98 in a new label, newsstand variant, how many of you would hesitate before making an offer now, when you wouldn't have a month or two ago? And this is what I talk about. Like, I see so many comic book channels that you can tell are sniffing the brownie of CGC, that have nothing but CGC comics on their walls, that are trying to let this slip by because it is clearly obvious that they care more about their finances. How many of them do you think? Because here's the ironic part. You know who ends up being the ones that suffer throughout this whole CGC ordeal? Is people with a lot of money. Because these scammers were not putting, $50 books in other slabs that were worth $60. You're talking $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 books. How many of these people probably ended up having, or may not even know that they have a CGC slab that might be one of the problems, and will never tell you? They'll just slip it under the rug. Morally, it is just wrong. And I've tried to warn people for years of what happens when people ignore the wrong thing. And that includes CGC, because you're talking just, and you really believe the 350 comics were the only ones, and since then, not one other comic has come along? Even though if you go on many people's websites or video channels, or go on the CGC conversation, whatever they call it. Many people are saying about private sales. How many of them where somebody just switched out a comic and never sent it to get reslabbed because they were so good at changing it, they didn't have to worry about a little crack in the case? You know how many people right now might have something like an X-Men #1 and a 6.0 that's probably a 5.0 that is supposed to be restored? But because people are afraid to say things, by their deeds you shall know them. And that's why I find some of these people in the community so hypocritical. That one situation with PGX over 8 years ago, which ended up not even being true, and I've talked about this several different times, people to this day still bashing them for their quote-unquote integrity, and yet we have an ongoing situation with literally hundreds of CGC comics that have going on literally for years, and people are trying to pretend now, nothing to see here, just going back. If some of them that even talked about it, are they just going back to their videos? Just like nothing ever happened and only still promoting CGC? How many of you have gone on eBay recently, seen a CGC book, which, by the way, I've seen so many high-grade CGC books all of a sudden just happen to be up for sale. Sinking ships sink very quickly. And if you never had a life raft, you're going under. Many of those books will not sell. Many people will be afraid to spend money on these higher grade books from CGC. And the longer, especially bigger channels, or any channel that seems to smell the brownie of CGC, as long as they stay silent or try and pretend, it's already done, let's move on. As long as they continue to do that, it's going to get worse and worse for them. And the value of their books are going to go down and down and down. And you know what? The next time I do an auction with my PGX books, you know how many people are probably going to buy them that they might not have before? Because they know that my books were all raw, because I have the videos to show every time. I sent them in personally to get graded, and they came straight back to me. And pretty much you can tell my books from other people's PGX books, because I'm one of the sole people that gets the greatest notes on the back of the slab, when most people don't even know that's an option for them. Because it's something that I created with Daniel Patterson at PGX. So you'll be able to know which ones are mine, because every one of mine, except, earlier ones before I made the deal with them with that, they've all been raw books that I checked. So if you buy a Hulk 181 from me, even if it's a PGX label, you know the Marvel value stamp is in there because I bought it raw, sent it in, and it came back. And one time they made the mistake of not putting the Marvel value stamp, because I have one version that's dual signed that did not have the Marvel value stamp, and I bought it that way knowing it. Because of the signatures, it was well worth the money that they were selling it for, or what I acquired it for. And when I sent that in to get graded, it came back without mentioning that the Marvel value stamp was missing. Now, how many other channels out there do you think would have secretly think they got away with something and sold that book, not telling anybody that that book was missing the Marvel value stamp? What did I do? And it's still up to this day, so you could watch it. I ended up cracking it open, resending it to PGX, telling them they forgot to put that it was missing the Marvel value stamp. You don't think my viewers don't appreciate me doing that? When I could have been like, ooh, look at this. I could take advantage of some kind of mistake that no one else will know about. I know about it. And people need to be held accountable. And there's a reason why they say evil thrives when good people do nothing. And that's the same with good people saying nothing. So this CGC thing is not going to go away. And I would love to hear in the comment section how many people were thinking about buying a book, went on eBay, saw dozens and dozens of CGC books all of a sudden being pumped and dumped. That should tell you everything you need to know about some of these people that are selling CGC books now. They're trying to make it somebody else's problem, because they're afraid to crack open the books if they didn't buy them already raw and graded them themselves. They want to pass that burden on to somebody else. That's very dishonorable. And you're hurting somebody else who could have maybe been saving up for years to acquire a book, and maybe spent their life savings to acquire it, and maybe was doing it to try and help their family, only to find out maybe months or years later that the book was not anything that they thought it was. That's what you want to do to your fellow human beings, so you can make some money? When I get, and it's very rare that it happens, and it hasn't happened in probably about 4 or 5 years, but if I get a PGX book back that is nowhere near the grade it should be, I don't take advantage of it and keep it. I will crack it open and get it re-slabbed. I've shown video after video of me doing that. Now, if it's something where it's 0.5 difference, I'm not going to have a problem with something like that. Like if something was a 5.5 and I thought it should be a 5, I'm not going to argue over that, because that's semantics. That's due to interpretation, and there could have been something inside the book that I can't see. But if I thought a book was a 5 and it comes back a 9, I'm not going to be one of those people that says, oh, I now have a sneaky opportunity to be able to make more money. I'm going to crack that open, send it back, and get it graded properly, because mistakes can happen, and it happens with all companies. But you can't hold one company accountable and give others a pass, because then you're showing your bias. And most people are not stupid. They may be naive, willfully ignorant, but not stupid. Although there are still some stupid people in the world. I cannot feel bad for people that look the other way when it comes to a major company like CGC for year upon year, benefited from the money they've acquired by letting things pass time and time again, and then all of a sudden have something that burns them. I don't feel bad for those people. You reap what you sow. And like I said, I guarantee you, any of the bigger channels that have very expensive CGC books, I guarantee you, not one of them, and if I'm wrong, correct me. If somebody's made a video saying that they got one of those books and they're going to re-slab it, or at least tell people, please post it and I will make sure I give them the recognition they deserve. But as far as I know, I doubt that anybody that may have one of the comics will let anybody know about it. And they'll do it behind the scenes. Like that whole thing with the Ultimate Fallout 4, when they were adding the chrome cover or whatever they were doing with it. And CGC was labeling that a 9.8, even though it was a regular Ultimate Fallout 4 book. And they added and restapled the book with a new cover. CGC gave it a 9.8. And they were going to get away with it, until enough people complained about it. But no one really said anything. No one called them out saying that that's flat out wrong. That's fraud. It's fraudulent, because people made money off it. And people were asking me about that book when it was selling for $1,000, $2,000 right off the bat. I said I wouldn't touch that with a 20-foot pole. I don't care how much money I could make off of that. It's not right. And I acquired 0 of them, and will acquire 0 of them, because you know what? There are books out there like this that I can acquire and do it the right way. There are no free rides. You always have to pay in the end. I know, and that's why every auction I've ever had, I think I only had one person return a comic because it was a raw book and they did not agree with the grade. That's why now, like 99% of the time, they will always be graded books, so I don't have to worry about somebody's interpretation of what they think. But I still gave them their money back. I didn't give them a hard time and say, oh, it's a final sale. But other than that, everybody's happy with their purchases. Because I don't try and change or hide things. Like if there was a cracked case, I'm not going to pretend that it's not there and say, oh, it must have happened during shipping. The ethics of people is just amazing to me. And the people that are still shilling for CGC or just trying to pretend that nothing is happening or being naive to think there are only 350 books from one seller that was doing the wrong thing, it blows my mind. But watch the value of their CGC books as they stay silent, as they pretend nothing else is happening, as they say it's only a certain small percentage of the criminals doing this, even though you're talking probably at this point over $100,000 or $200,000 worth of theft. Keep watching your value of your CGCs go down and down because you're using fear to keep yourself from doing the right thing, which ultimately ends up giving you the very thing you were afraid of. You ever see how life works that way? That you're so afraid of something happening that you do the wrong thing to try and prevent it from happening, and not only does it happen, it happens 10 times worse? That's karma. That's how life works. It may not always happen right away. You know, like I said, that person or those people that did the wrong thing, and even the ones that have not been caught yet, they may have been cheering and celebrating every sale that they scammed people with. But if they end up in federal prison, I think there are going to be people welcoming them to the jail facility by putting a bar of soap in front of them, if you know what I mean. You think they're going to be cheering then? Well, if they are, that's kind of creepy, but you know what I mean? So, if you want to follow channels that have all the CGC books on the wall, clearly we'll only discuss CGC as the only option. Staying silent or being very minimalistic, trying to cover for the company. If you want to follow them, you have every right to do so. I'm not going to tell you to unsubscribe from my channel because you want to follow somebody that's doing the wrong thing. But if you choose to follow people doing the wrong thing, because maybe you have some CGC books too, and you're afraid of the value going down, so you're going to try and join that wagon, don't be surprised that the value of your books go further and further down. And if you're the type of person that is just going to pump and dump all of your CGC books without telling people that they could be problems, or they are problems, you're just another criminal that just hasn't been caught yet. You're doing the wrong thing. And you may make a lot of money. You may get away with it. It's like a person in a marriage where the spouse has been cheating for years. And they get to the point where it's like, I could do this all the time. I never get caught. No one knows. It only takes the one time of getting caught that ruins your life. You know, you could play Russian roulette with a gun that has 1,000,000 chambers and only one bullet. And you can time and time again hit that trigger and never get the bullet. For years. It only takes that one time to ruin it all. And that's what most people don't think about. So those people that are doing the wrong thing probably made a poop ton of money for years celebrating how easy it is to trick CGC. Whether they have plants inside CGC that will look in the other way, which I don't know, and I'm not going to assume. It's a possibility, but that doesn't mean it could happen. So allegedly they could have plants in CGC. Or the person just knew that they can get away with it. It only takes the time that they get caught to change their world, and they will lose everything that they acquired, and probably more, because the one thing they will lose that they didn't have to worry about before was their freedom. If you keep allowing wrong people to do the wrong things, eventually it will come back to haunt you. And that's why I won't do the wrong thing. That doesn't mean that I get everything perfect. That doesn't mean that I don't make mistakes. But I'm not out here when I do an auction saying I'm going to sell a Wolverine number 1 9.6 and it be a 9.2 book, and would lie to people. I could never do it. But to each their own. So you know what? What I thought was going to be a quick video, as usual, ends up turning out to be a rant. And the funny thing is, I get more viewers and I get more likes because of it. So obviously people like it. But I hope more people will start to stand up for what's right. You know, if you want the world to become a better place, you have to become a better person. If you want people to serve justice, you have to stop looking the other way. Things don't change if you don't change or help to make a change. So you can continue to follow all of these YouTube channels that are promoting CGC, who are minimalizing the situation that's still ongoing, because maybe you listened to the advice of these people, you hitched your horse to their wagon because they were popular, or they had better quality videos, or they said what you wanted to hear. Keep following them, and watch the value of your books continue to go down and down and down. To one day, people will be so fed up with the lack of integrity from the CGC company and the people that shill for them, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that one day people will not want to buy any CGC product. And then what do you do with all those CGC books on your wall? You can list them all for, you know, pennies on the dollar, which means you'll either make hardly any money, you may lose money, but you're definitely not going to make the money you were hoping for by holding your breath, by looking the other way. And I'll continue to, when I need money from my auctions, be able to sell my comics, make a profit, make my purchasers happy with their purchases, and they will not have to spend the maximum amount for me to be satisfied with the sale. So instead of me just being happy, it's both parties. And that's why when I made the deals with PGX and EGS, I have no contract signed, because I never want to be ever forced into saying something I do not believe in, or obligated to say something I may not like, or hold back from an experience that I had just because they don't want bad light. I do not get paid by either one of them. And I make sure that not only do they benefit by getting a customer or two here and there, so some business their way, I get the benefit of either 4 books or 2 books being sent in every month to get pressed, dry cleaned, and graded, signature verification if need be. But I also made sure that you guys benefit from offering discount codes. Now, I don't get a percentage of that. I don't see a dime from any of that. So there's no real incentive for me to give that to you, other than it's a nice gesture to make everybody happy. Hopefully people will start thinking that 2024 should be a time of changing your life for the better. And that means doing the right thing, even if it may temporarily hurt you financially. Because you're going to see a dip in the price of CGC books. But if you can keep the business from going under and having people lose complete faith in them, you may gradually get your money back, or at the very least break even. But just imagine if you stay silent and people that have those books say nothing, and CGC tries to keep it minimal as possible to keep the fire, at a certain level. Eventually, they become as close to worthless as you can get. Because if you spent $5,000 on a book, and now you'd be lucky if you could get $1,000 for it, some people may be happy they're getting $1,000. But just imagine if you say nothing and people will not spend $200 on that book now. And you have to get it cracked open to show them. People don't understand consequences that involve a future situation coming from it. People do not understand consequences. If you go up to a person in the street and punch them in the face because you think it's funny to make a video doing that, which if you do, you're disgusting. That's why I will never watch any of these prank channels. I think they're the lowest common denominator of low-hanging fruit on the internet. But if you were to go and punch somebody in the face, thinking it was a joke or thinking it was funny or think you could get the upper hand, and that person turns around and beats the living daylights out of you, you deserve every beating that you got. You know, if you go up to a hornet's nest and you think, it'd be funny to throw a rock at it, and all of a sudden 500 hornets come out of that nest and sting you to death, was it the hornet's fault or was it your fault? Because if you would have walked by the hornet's nest and did nothing, there would have been no consequence that followed. It does not matter if, it was just a little rock. I wasn't trying to hurt them. I thought it was funny. Well, maybe they didn't think it was as funny as you did. Imagine somebody throwing a boulder into your home. You're not going to laugh. But there are consequences not only for your actions, but for your inactions. And let's keep it comic terms. There's a reason why so many people like Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man. Why? Because when he first acquired his powers and did not know what to do with them, he had an opportunity to make some money by becoming a professional wrestler and joined a wrestling company where they were willing to give, I think it was like $300 if you wrestled and beat their wrestler. And he used his powers to make money. And he made that money. But it ended up, after the match was over, the manager of the wrestling place did not give him the full amount of the money he was supposed to get, which made Peter Parker very angry. As he stormed out with what little amount the manager gave him, a burglar robs that manager for all his money. And as he's running down the hallway to escape the manager who he just robbed, he runs past Peter Parker, and he hears the manager who just screwed him over to stop that criminal. And because Peter Parker was mad and didn't get the money he deserved, he let the criminal go by. So now the manager, think about it, the manager who at the time thought it was, I'm really going to do this kid wrong. Let's say out of the 300, they gave him 50. It's like, I just pocketed an extra $250. I feel really good about myself. Well, what happened? He just got robbed for probably 10, 20 times the amount that he tried to rip off Peter Parker for. And because Peter Parker did the wrong thing by letting the criminal go by, ultimately it ends up that particular criminal kills his Uncle Ben. Now, in the movies, it was in a car, but in the comic books, the criminal was trying to escape the cops, ran into Peter Parker's Uncle Ben's house and killed him. And that's when Peter Parker learned that with great power comes great responsibility. Well, if you're a YouTube channel with thousands of listeners who will listen to every word you say, you have great power. It's time with that great power, you use great responsibility for your words. What are you teaching people? And this is why I keep telling people, by their deeds, you shall know them. And I see comic book YouTubers that have comic book stores, and I'm not particularly talking about just one. There are several people that own comic book stores that have comic book videos. So if you want to assume it's one person, well, you're partially right. But there are many others that have nothing but CGC comics on their wall and have not yet to make one video talking about the problem and continually do their CGC unboxings like, nobody cares. And they may be very nice people. But that doesn't change the fact that people are looking the other way because obviously they have a lot to lose. But saying nothing, they will ultimately lose 10 times more. Hitch your horse to whatever wagon you want, but don't be surprised if that wagon flies off a cliff. That is my video. 26 people are here. 26 people liked it. So I may not get thousands of viewers, but I got a 100% ratio like to watch at this current moment. That should tell you that people actually agree with what I have to say, even if they're doing it anonymously. Because I guarantee you, the people that watch my channel that make YouTube videos, they may give it a thumbs up. They may say something in the comment section, but they'll never give me praise on a YouTube video. Because God forbid, I'm supposedly taboo. Even though I'm probably one of the more, if not the most common sense YouTube comic book channel in this quote-unquote community. And there are still people that hate me or whatever because of people making lies and stories about me that ruin my reputation that I can't seem to escape no matter what I do or no matter what I say. Good thing is I don't really give a rat's behind, because obviously it hasn't stopped me. It stopped me temporarily when I shut down my original channel because I felt so betrayed by people I thought were my friends. But strong people that do the right thing will always be able to continue on. What side do you want to be on when it comes down to when they report our history? Do you want to be one of the ones that look the other way, that tried to pretend it didn't happen, that tried to minimize the very thing that they're investing in? You don't see the hypocrisy and the bias in that? When somebody has nothing but CGC on the wall and they're trying to tell you everything's all right and it's only 350 books and it's only one person and, you know, don't worry, it's only a small percentage. You want to trust those people? And I'm not saying they're bad people. There are many YouTube channels of people I like watching, but I don't like what they're doing right now because it is definitely motivated by self-interest. And if you're not willing to take a step back in order to make 2 steps forward, you will continue to do nothing but take a step back. And it may only be 1 step at a time, but one day you're going to look back at your life and see you are miles and miles behind where you could have been. Because you didn't do and you didn't say the right thing. But like I've always said, everything is a choice, including if you choose to do nothing about a situation. You know, you could see a person drowning in the ocean and say, well, I don't want to get wet, or the water's too cold, or what if I drowned? And you could say, I don't want to be a part of it. There's a lifeguard over there. They'll save them. Or that person should have known not to go in the current. But what if that person could have been a person that years down the line was somebody you spent the rest of your life with? Or maybe a child of theirs or a friend of theirs. Or maybe you got a job from them. Or maybe that person was the person that was going to cure cancer. No one ever stops to think about situations other than what's happening at that particular moment. And I have a high school education, and I can think in ways that there are people with Harvard degrees that couldn't even come close. You can change your ways. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to take a step back? It's like the economy. All of these governments throughout the world are trying to delay the inevitable by putting little band-aids on a gashing wound. And it slows it down or even stops it or even temporarily reverses it. But it makes it worse and worse and worse. And I'll leave it at this. Think of it like a person that is on heroin. It's very addicting and it's very destructive. But if you try and go cold turkey to stop taking heroin, it will be extremely uncomfortable and extremely painful and something many people cannot do. So it's easier to continue to take heroin because it will make you feel good, but you'll need more and more of it, and you won't have to worry about going through withdrawals. But here's the ironic part. If you're a person that's that addicted to heroin to the point where it's going to do a lot of damage, and it's doing a lot of damage, and you go through that week or two of painful withdrawals that you will not like, that will not be fun, that will not be comfortable, but will end and improve your life thereafter, and you decide to continue to take the heroin so you don't have to go through that little bit of pain, eventually you will take so much heroin that it will kill you. So, was it worth not sacrificing and taking that little step back to improve your life from there on because you were afraid of experiencing a little backlash or a little pain? Because people cannot see more than what's right in front of them. I hope you become a different person for that. Thank you to the 27 people that are watching this right now. 30 likes. That's a hell of a percentage in a ratio. Thank you to those that care. Let's do today's surprise subscriber shoutouts. And again, you don't have to be a subscriber, but if you want to hit subscribe, that's great. And don't forget, and I'm going to put the link again, on January 27th at 2 p.m., I will be doing a live show interview. Somebody is interviewing me. Their channel name is the Nerdy Collective Show. It's the Comic Book G-Man. So the name of the show is the Nerdy Collective Show, as me as their special guest, but their comic book channel on YouTube is called the Comic Book G-Man. I just posted a link to that video in the live chat. I will pin it to the comment section in when the video uploads. Please go check it out. I would love to have people watch it and support this channel. Today's surprise subscriber shoutouts are going to go to... Let's scroll up a little bit, see who's actually one of my power viewers. Give me a second. All right, we're going to go with Huntin' Comics is the first. And we're going to go with Signature King. Both of you are today's surprise subscriber shoutouts. What that means is, especially if you're new to my channel, you don't have to be a subscriber, but you can if you want to hit subscribe. You can, and if you want to hit the like button, you can. But if you were named as our surprise subscriber shoutout in the comment section once this video uploads, you could post a link either to a YouTube channel or video that you make if you have a channel. If you don't, and you'd rather put a link to one of your social networks, you can do that instead. Or if you don't have social networks worth having people go to, and you sell something on Amazon or eBay or whatever, and you want to share a link to one of your sales, I will allow you to do that. So you could pick one of the three. Keep in mind that I have to make sure I check everything first to make sure it's not anything inappropriate. It has to be something, like if you sell something on eBay, it doesn't even have to be comics. You can sell tennis shoes. But as long as it's something that is not, showing porn stars on the shoes, I will promote you. So any link that you post in the comment section once this video uploads will not be seen until I approve it. This keeps trolls from putting porn sites and stuff on my comment section. So children or younger people, or people that just may not want to see that, don't accidentally click on something that brings them somewhere they don't want to be. So if you see a link, it means it has been approved and it will take you to the very places that they say it will. So go help them. Subscribe to their channel. Check out the merchandise they sell. Follow them on Instagram or their social networks. Let's be a real community where we help one another, not just profit off of one another. Because that's not going to lead us anywhere good in the long run. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment after the beep. And don't forget, it is not you. It is not I. It is We Love Comics. And again, if you look on the screen with the scrolling comics on there, I'm looking to acquire any or all of those books via trade. I did a video about 3 months ago showing all graded comics, which are all PGX comics that I sent in to be graded myself, by the way. They were all raw books that I got graded, so they are exactly what they're supposed to be. But I'm willing to trade all 30 or whatever amount that you want for one or many of those books. I want to acquire one of those books before this year is over, to show people that you can acquire things that you could only think you could dream of because you don't have the money for, and still acquire them anyway. So if you're a person that has one of those books and you send me one of those books, we will make that trade happen. Rest assured. Let's show that there are always ways to acquire your dreams. You just need an imagination. Lose your fear. Be confident. and never give up. May not happen the day you want it to, but eventually it will happen if you persist in your efforts. You can achieve dream control. Let's see how many people understand that reference. If you understand that reference, put it in the comments section of where that came from. Have a great day, and don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Let me know what you think.